talk to me, be upfront with me. So I'm going to ask you a question. I kind of mean this to be a tough one, but we don't feel like, at least I don't feel like I can trust you on this, right? I don't know if we feel like we can trust you on this. And you kind of tell us that, there's a process in place, but if you believe the prosecutor 100% of the time, you wouldn't need the deans. If you believe the deans 100% of the time, you wouldn't need you. And so at the end of the day, you make this decision, and I don't think we've had enough trust or enough faith in you. So why should we trust you?
Shit.
So, he's right. That's exactly what I asked. The question is, why should you trust me? And you really, of course, have to judge that for yourself. You have to watch me, listen to me. Every time you come in contact with me, you have to decide, is this a person who's honest, a person who listens? Do I trust this person? You have to decide that. You look like you want to supplement.
Yeah, I kind of want to supplement. So, do you have any kind of training on this? Does the deans receive any kind of training on this? I know you're a lawyer, so, don't get me wrong, but environmental law doesn't seem to correlate in the same way when you're talking about people's lives and kind of their futures at the academy and kind of, personal violations of the whole. I mean, do you have any sort of defense or assessment of your own skills beyond the fact that we have to trust you because you're a good person?
Added on to that, also, I just wanted to make
sure that you are listening to Stephanie's point is.
I think she can repeat.
She's gonna say.
I was saying that we are listening to you. If we weren't listening to you, we are listening to you. And if we weren't listening to you, we wouldn't be here. And if we weren't trying to change this, we wouldn't be here. But so far, we haven't found a reason.
So Vinny has said, why should I trust you? And Stephanie has said, so far, you haven't given us any reason to trust you. Well, that's a pretty tough question and a pretty harsh assessment. And in a way, there's no answer other than to leave you to continue to make your own assessment. To the extent that Nat has sort of coached you on your question a little.
Oh, I did not. Justin.
It's not a criticism.
No, it's not true, though.
All right, okay, I thought you were...
No, that idea came from me. I'm not
you guys
stupid.
He's not a mouthpiece.
taking every word a little too seriously.
I
Yes, matter what?
Seriously enough.
All right.
Can we have one person at a time?
All right. Okay. All right. I'll back up, and I'll apologize. You supplemented your question, and you narrowed it a little bit. Yes, I'm a lawyer. I have a lot of legal training. I actually think, compared to most heads, I'm probably more equipped to handle these things because I have a lot of legal training. I'm used to seeing two sides to a story. I'm used to civil cases, criminal cases, prosecutors, and so on. So I think I have a lot of experience with that. So this is probably one of the areas where my legal training helps. I know how to ask questions. When I get a recommendation, I do ask questions. I've asked tough questions. Sometimes the recommendation has changed in response to my recommendation. Never toward a lesser response, but a couple times to a higher response. So I feel pretty well equipped. It doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make me perfect. And to some extent, I still have to rely on the investigator because I don't do the interviews. I read the report and I read the exhibits, but I don't actually look people in the face. So that there is a separation there. And, to Stephanie's point, that so far I haven't said anything that would give her, or perhaps any of you, a reason to trust me. I'm trying to listen carefully, and Nat, I take seriously your point that this is not about an individual case, that this is about something, a pattern, and much bigger. I felt trust is a function of action, not just words. You have said you think sexual, at least I am going to give you another chance. You have said you think sexual misconduct, sexual assault is happening on a regular basis. You have said what we're doing is not sufficient. And I have said, all right, we're prepared to figure out what more we should be doing. So if I have any chance of earning your trust, beyond just being the person I am and getting to know you and having you get to know me, it'll be through what we do next. So we'll have to figure out what that's going to be. And we'll have to figure out how you're going to be involved and how faculty will be involved. And you'll have to decide, is that response meaningful or superficial? And I guess that will be the only way you'll judge. Oh, you're right. And then the room had. Everybody's been waiting a long time.
So, I think they all understand that, yes, you are in a very difficult position, and that no matter what the grade is, someone will always be here, and we understand that. And so this is more of a question for, like, you to think about. You don't have to, like, necessarily answer this, but do you truly believe that you are doing the right thing, and that you are doing everything in your power to do what is right? And if not, do you believe that you would take on the responsibility to change that?
Could people hear the question? Do I feel I'm truly doing the right thing? And if not, would I change that? So in individual cases, each time, yes, I think I'm doing the right thing. Do I think it's easy? No. But in each case, of course, I'm trying to do the right thing. I think I'm doing the right thing. It isn't always an easy decision. So there could be pros and cons, this and that. But at the end, I think, all right, this seems to be the right thing. I do feel periodically we need to reflect, all right? We've been through a bunch of these. What have we learned? Can we do this differently? Are we confident we're getting it right? So there's sort of in the moment, and then there's the periodic self-examination. And so in the moment, of course I'm trying to get it right. But every so often, I think it's absolutely essential to say, are we getting it right? What are we doing right? How can we make this better? How can we address the confidentiality issue? Or how can we support students better through the process, after the process? That's why we changed the protocol this year, actually. I was pretty convinced that having one person responsible for supporting both students and doing the third job of running the investigation wasn't possible. And so that was an example of saying, that was an example of trying to do it better. But I absolutely think, I mean, you're here in this numbers. That tells us we have to be asking ourselves, if these many students don't trust this, what should we be doing different to have more trust and belief? So, absolutely. So many hands. I don't know.
Alicia.
I'm sorry? Oh, one half. I'm so sorry. What is your name, please? Bennett? Bennett, thank you. So that's one I've been thinking about. I think it's a really good question, Ben. Sometimes we do these things and we do the same thing for all four grades, and maybe seniors are in a very different place from preps. And seniors like been there, don't need this, and preps are thinking, I don't know what this is. Who knows? But in different topics, not just necessarily affirmative consent. But I do think this is a really good example of are we doing this in a way that reaches the right people and is taken seriously and has the rigor that shows that we really mean it. So I think that I've been wondering about that a little bit, and to me that perhaps falls into the camp of what we could be doing differently. So it's a good question and a good one to make note of. So, okay, Alicia, this is Alicia's second turn, so that's okay. Ingrid, sorry. Okay. And I'm looking this way. At some point I have to turn this way, but all right, so.
So what happens when students who have actually come forward and reported things that they have been offered or that there has been sexual assault that has happened to them,
and there is an investigation going on, and they are not allowed to